No, there's one song called Miss America. It's about Whitney Houston. I read. Is it true?
It's true. The song Miss America is about Whitney Houston and her tragic story, really. Such an amazing artist, such an amazing voice, such a light. And it's about that relationship we have, I suppose, when you hear a singer and we want to get to know them, and sometimes we cross the line. And her story is similar to Amy Winehouse's and similar to Marilyn Monroe's, how we lose touch with or interest in what their art and their talent is, and we want to know a bit too much about them. We spectate on their downfall. These fragile people, sometimes we even start contributing to their downfall, because every time we go online or buy a magazine to read more about them, to see them at their worst, another cameraman goes out and chases them. And every time that new lens is pointed in their face, their life becomes more intense and their problems probably come to the fore.
How do you cope with the pressure?
I'm pretty chilled about the whole thing, I suppose. I suppose because I don't believe in celebrity. I don't believe it exists, and I don't take it too seriously. I'm just a musician. I love playing music. I love the fact that people come together, no matter what religion they are, or race, or sex, or sexuality, and sing songs about the same things that I feel. The people join in and say, yeah, I feel the same way, that's cool. But I don't save a life like a doctor or a nurse or an aid worker rebuilds a country or a teacher educates. These people are the real celebrities of the world.
And what do you think then what made Whitney Houston and Amy Winehouse and Marilyn Monroe, what made them, how come they didn't survive and how come they couldn't cope?
I don't know, you'd have to ask them or the people around them.
No, but what is your idea, maybe?
I don't know, I suppose they're just human and they're probably fragile, and you stick them in a cage and they, and like any animal, they go mad.
But it must be hard for you too, because you said, well, you write, this is your fourth album, it's a personal album. Sometimes you also get criticism. How do you stay in balance then when you pour your heart out and people say, sometimes people say, well, it's, I don't care, or it's bullshit.
Yeah, I keep balance, because the moment I step out from this camera, I'm just going to go and talk to my mates,
yes,
and be a normal person,
yeah?
have dinner, have a drink, and talk very normally. No one's going to treat me like anything other than a normal human being.
Oh, that's good. Moon Landing is the album. When during the recording of this album did you come up with the album title? Was it at the beginning? Or?
I think halfway through I realised that this album was called Moon Landing. Obviously I'm thinking about a title early on, but as it was a journey with Tom locked in a studio for a year, like our own little capsule.
Yeah.
And the sound of the album sounds old school, retro and lonely. There's a romanticism to the sound. And it's an achievement for us to make, and so it just sounds like Moon Landing.
Can you recall the when you came up with it, or can you recall the moment?
Vaguely, yeah.
Can you share?
I think about album titles throughout the process of recording. At some stage you come across an album title. I can't remember, I can't remember what date it was, but about halfway through the recording, I just felt like that was the phrase.
No, what I mean, maybe something happened. Maybe you saw a program about the first moon landing on TV. You thought, well, hey, this is maybe the feeling that I have now. I don't know.
No, it just came to me.
Okay. Sometimes there's a deeper meaning behind.
Yeah.
it.
No.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. What is for you? There's certain songs. The first song, Face the Sun. Then you have a song, Sun on Sunday. Is it for you? What symbolizes the sun for you?
Face the Sun?
Yeah.
Face the Sun I'd written around the same time of the third album, actually, and I never quite captured its innocence, so I kept it. And the sun symbolizes life, doesn't it? All animals, we need the sun. It is the thing that has generated life in the first place, and so it talks about how hard life can be. But in the end, everything will be all right. In time, all the flowers turn to face the sun. I suppose it's about finding your way. Eventually, you'll find your way.
When did you know that this was your way? Music?
I have been doing music since I was a child, singing all my life. I played piano since I was 7. I hated it. My mother made me learn the piano and I loathed it, but I picked up a guitar when I was 14 years old. Some friends showed me a chord or two, and I suppose at that age as well I started writing songs, and that's when you have ideas about your own individuality, isn't it, about that age.
But was it for you always that because well you also went into the army, but you kept playing songs? Was it for you something that you really wanted to pursue? I mean,
Very much.
Yeah.
I said since I was 14 years old, I said I was going to be a musician full time.
Okay. Do you still have those first songs? Maybe somewhere on a cassette.
Do you know what? I think you start anything like that. Like you learn when you learn to paint. The first things are just like sketches, aren't they? So when you first start to write songs, it's probably just the first things are just ideas. It's over time that you learn how to turn those ideas into completed songs. It's song craft is a craft, and so before I did music professionally, I didn't know what a middle eight is. Yeah. Now I know that you have verse, a verse, chorus, and perhaps a middle eight. And then a final chorus. But before that, you kind of think, well, I just have a verse, and that thing sounds like a chorus, but it can be more sprawling, just ideas.
Did you listen back with Tom to the first album before you recorded this one?
No, I don't think we did listen to the first album. I think we just, what we did do is talk a lot about where we got to.
But what do you hear when you listen to the songs on the first album? Were the songs good, or were the sketches still, or now in hindsight, it's been 10 years ago?
Yeah, I think my songs are stronger songs nowadays. I think I'm a stronger songwriter. But what I'll probably never achieve or gather is innocence again. And so the first album has that innocence and naivety, and those things are very special.
Do you try to recreate those feelings?
No.
Well, that could be. What is for you the most personal song on this album?
I don't know. They're all incredibly personal, I suppose. The fear of doing any personal song is that you're going to perform it publicly, and people will hear it is. And I've learnt, over the years that people will then critique and judge, and so you have to accept that. And in many ways, I think that's what I now understand my job to be, is not to get up on stage and have a shell of bravado and say, hey, aren't I cool and aren't I big and aren't I strong? Haven't I got a fast car outside and an expensive watch on my wrist? And I'm fine and you guys aren't. That's probably not really my job as a musician, because that would be lying. Mm-hmm. Because all of us, no matter what we do in the world, we have emotion and we have hopes, but we have fears. We have things we're good at and we have things that we know that we're bad at. And I think my job is to get up on stage and tell my audience, my strengths as well as my weaknesses, but first and foremost my weaknesses. So those songs are deeply personal. Postcards is exactly that. Postcards is a song that says, rather than hide the words "I love you" in a letter, it's putting it on a postcard so that even the postman can read it on its way to its recipient.
What do people say when they, fans or maybe other people, what is the best thing that someone has told you while listening to your songs?
Do you know, I think if anyone listens to a song and they come back to me and they say, I feel the same way as you, that means that I'm not a weirdo, that we share the same human emotion.
Yeah. Last question then, because I have to stop. The Only One. What triggered that song?
The Only One is just, it's saying, I suppose that, that through my mistakes in my life, that the fragility of a relationship, that person is the only one, and it's worth telling them so, and so through thick and thin, ask them for forgiveness for the mistakes, and that you'll be around and work, and be there through thick and thin.
Did the special one hear it? Did she hear the song?
I don't know if they've bought it yet or not.
So you're not in a relationship right now. Last question. Twitter. Do you like Twitter?
Twitter's a funny thing, where people take it very seriously, because they take their opinions very seriously. But I know that my opinion is just my opinion, and it's worth laughing at. And so I go on Twitter only to laugh at myself, but to laugh if other people have taken themselves too seriously too. What is
the one thing that you really that you laughed a lot about, that someone tweeted?
I don't know, I laugh every day at it, really. I haven't enjoyed it before. Social media is a weird thing. I don't post up what I've had for breakfast, because I think if I wanted to post what I had for breakfast, I would be strange. And if anyone wants to see that, they're even stranger. So I just go and mess around. I use it to have fun rather than take it too seriously.
Okay. Thank you for your time.
Pleasure.
Thank you.
Thank you, Red.